And then let's get to another UHD Library DVD. This one is called A Beautiful Mind, and it stars Russell Crowe as John Nash and Jennifer Connelly as his wife, Alicia. So John works for the US government cracking Soviet codes, and he is told to study media such as newspaper and magazine articles for codes or clues to the location of a nuclear bomb that the Soviets had hidden somewhere in America. The film shows Nash becoming obsessive in his work. Even the audience member knows that there are no Soviet codes in magazine advertisements, which is something that he keeps finding throughout the film. Now, I probably should have warned you already. There will be spoilers here, but I'm going to try to not give away too many large plot points. It had definitely been years since I'd actually seen the film. I think my family rented it, and I watched it with them, although I was definitely too young to appreciate it. I do remember certain scenes, though. But upon a second watching, or I guess I could probably consider this really the first time that I saw the film, it's actually very good, and I would recommend it to anybody listening to this broadcast. If you have not seen A Beautiful Mind, go ahead and check it out. This was just a little while after Crowe had won the Best Actor award for the film Gladiator by Ridley Scott. And this was a major box office draw for Crowe, and it also helped garner interest for A Beautiful Mind a few years later. Actor Ed Harris is fantastic as Agent Parcher. He's supposedly the man who gives John his orders, and he appears throughout the film ominously threatening to expose John's work to the Russians or make his family dispensable. It's a pretty unfortunate character. Anyway, the film was directed by Ron Howard, and I thought we'd kind of segue here for a second, and while we're talking about Ron Howard, let's discuss some of his other successful and well-known films. Now, Splash and Cocoon from 1984 and 1985, respectively, are two very similar films. They both deal directly with water. Splash is a fun mermaid movie starring Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah, and John Candy. Cocoon, on the other hand, is an alien film starring Steve Guttenberg. The film is set at a senior living home right on the southern coast of the United States. There is also interspecies and interplanetary relations in these films. Tom Hanks falls in love with a half-human, half-fish hybrid in Splash, and Steve Guttenberg ends up in a relationship with an alien for the film Cocoon. Ron Howard also made a great comedy drama film called Parenthood in 1989 with a star-studded cast as a very dysfunctional, albeit very realistic depiction of the late 80s and early 90s American family. In my humble opinion, this is Steve Martin at his best and most likable. Martin's second best film, in my opinion, is also the one that he did with Jack Black, and it's called A Big Year. That's a film about bird watchers, and it's actually really entertaining. Now, Howard followed up Parenthood with the action film Backdraft, and that got me thinking, this seems to be one of the first films ever really about firemen. There really aren't a lot of movies about firemen. There are definitely tons of films about police, but very few firemen films. I can think of the Pete Davidson film, King of Staten Island, which is about the child of a fireman who died on the job. Davidson's real father actually died saving lives during the 9/11 terrorist attack, so it was a very real role for Davidson to take on. I can also think of another fireman film that was based on a true story. It was called Only the Brave, and it starred Miles Teller, Josh Brolin, and Jeff Bridges. It's about forest firefighters in Arizona. So now when it comes to the director Howard, I believe that he's probably best known for Apollo 13, which was a major release back in 1995. I remember it was almost impossible to find a copy at Blockbuster. A Beautiful Mind was similar in the fact that Russell Crowe was one of the biggest stars of the early 2000s. Jennifer Connelly played Alicia Nash and did such a fantastic job that her work was recognized in the form of winning the Oscar for Best Actress at the Academy Awards that year. Now, I just want to warn again of spoilers for the film A Beautiful Mind. If you don't want to hear about specific plot points, I'd say go ahead and mute the broadcast. But the character and real person, Nash, actually suffered hallucinations. This is based off of a real person. He was actually hallucinating the whole time that he was working for the government. It really wasn't actually happening. British actor Paul Bettany plays Crow's roommate in the film. Interestingly, Bettany and Jennifer Connelly met and began a relationship after meeting on A Beautiful Mind. They were married in 2003, and the couple have 2 children together.